All right, let's go ahead and disassemble this thing. And to disassemble it, you need your disassembly tool. You're going to push in on the button here at the rear. That's your dust cover button. And then that should let you pop your dust cover off. That's going to expose the recoil spring, guide, and bolt carrier group. This recoil spring will just, here, let me see if I can get you to get zoomed in there. We'll just push out there and then out she comes. There's your recoil spring and guide. Then your bolt will come to the rear and pop out. This bolt, incidentally, just has a guide in here. You just go whoop, turn it out like that, and out she goes. So there's the machining cut that we used to pull the bolt out. If you're expecting more for back here, I'm sorry, that's it. You know, the barrel is right there. The locking recesses are right here. So this is one of the few firearms where you can actually get to the locking recesses in there and stuck up some like way in there. They're actually quite easy to get to and clean. Our hammer and assembly are all back here. So there's all that action back there. There's our hammer and all the other things. So if you want to see the hammer, why don't we go ahead and push the trigger on that one, and there's our hammer right there. So a pretty beefy unit. It's going to have no problem striking off some pretty heavy duty stuff. Let's push that guy back in. Now, I'm a stubborn guy, and I tried actually taking this thing off without looking up the instructions. There are no instructions. You know, the Type 81's not really found much in Canada here. But actually what you need to do is kind of rotate this all the way to one side, and then here's the magic part. This left side pulls out a little bit, and then you can rotate it to a magic number that doesn't actually exist. Ooh. And then rotate a little bit back and forth until you find the spot where this thing comes off. Boom, there we go. There's our receiver cover there, front receiver cover, front fore-end cover, whatever. This guy here is going to come off from the front. So this whole thing comes off. You're going to push right, oh yeah, sorry, we'll rotate this guy here, and then it'll push off, and then you can kind of pull the whole thing out. So let's get zoomed in on that. And that will break down into this cup, which is our adjuster piece. You can see here the gas ports that are lined up to give more gas or less gas. So that's our number 2, that's our number 1, and number 0 has, well, nothing. And there's our piston and piston spring to pull it back into place. So all in all, pretty easy system to break down. The barrel and gas system is chrome lined, so fantastic news for guys who shoot corrosive out there. You should still clean in here, get a pipe cleaner and get it down into that hole and clean out that hole. Clean off your piston and clean off this cup inside, because that's all where those corrosive salts are going to get to, definitely. Not really going to be any corrosive salts getting out past there, so not too much worry there, but I still would clean your bolt and all that kind of stuff if you are shooting corrosive. Now to reinstall, we're going to grab this guy here. It's got this little like notch here. That's not a notch, lug there. And let's go pop that guy on. It's going to go back into that hole that it came from. And it's going to lock in once we turn it. Now it won't want to come out, so it only turns once it's got that lug exposed. I'm going to turn it to the number 1 because that's the best one, the one that we want to use most of the time. I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy on. And I'll rotate this guy until it's at the spot where it wants to be, which is with the number 1 facing up. So if you've got the number 1 facing up, you've probably got it on the right setting. And then I'm going to rotate it back to production level, and now it won't come off. Now for the bolt, we just need this angled piece in here to match up with the bolt carrier. So I'm just going to rotate it until it's in there, and you know it's in there when you push forward and it rotates into place, and now it doesn't really want to come out. So now I know it's in the right spot. I'm going to go ahead and pop it into my receiver, and it just kind of fits right into there, and then it'll just go all the way to the front. Next, I've got my recoil spring and carrier, and they go into that hole in the back of this thing. This carrier has these notches on here and guides, and that's what's going to allow it to, I'm just going to push it in a little bit here, and it locks in place on the back here. You might need to like kind of angle a little bit until it's in there. Now on the dust cover, I just want to show you something. Oh, I'm gonna have to actually turn it the other way. Now on this dust cover, there's actually something interesting. You need to get this part here in a little notch right here. So that's really super duper important. So I'd look to get that guy in there. There we go. Do you see how it just got in there? And now it's actually on the right spot back here. Use my assembly disassembly tool to push this guy forward, not too much, just a little bit. Now if you end up with something that looks like this, this dust cover is not actually in place. It's actually caught on the rear lip here. It needs to be jumped up and over to be in place. So watch that button there. If it's not all the way out, it's not in the right spot. And now we can see it's installed in the right place because this thing's sticking out quite a bit more, and this dust cover is in front of that rear rail on the receiver.